Alright guys, welcome to REBBL Imperium. It has been a long time in development, this game. I've had to put quite a few man hours into this. I know quite a few of the guys who've helped me out have as well, but we're here. The game launches today, which is pretty exciting. I'm kind of proud of how this has come along and developed across the 12, maybe 13 weeks we've spent putting this together. So yeah, what we're going to do here is just give you a sort of brief overview of the rules of the game and how to get started. The rulebook itself is probably around 18 to 20 pages long, and I kind of know how you REBBL coaches are. You don't really like reading things, so I figured a video guide might be super useful to help you guys get started and learn a bit about the game and the rules and what you need to do and what you can expect. This is in the form of a PowerPoint because I was trying to think of the best way to do this, and that's kind of what I've came up with. So it won't have the sort of flashy shininess that you'd normally expect from a Herringzord production, but I don't think that's too bad. I think we can get cracking straight on with this, and the game is pretty much going to launch as soon as I'm finished recording this thing. So might as well get straight on with it, because I'm expecting a fairly busy evening. So REBBL Imperium, the basics. So you can see we've got an example card here. The artwork, by the way, was all done by Monkey Chunks up to this point, so big thank you for him. For that, there's a lot of it still to go. We're nowhere near finished. In fact, we've barely scratched the surface, so any potential help with that would be great. Eventually we'll want to get things onto our custom built website, which I'll allude to a lot more as we go through. But in order to play this game, you need Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition. That is a requirement. This game mode, if you like, this thing we put together, uses the mixed team function of Blood Bowl 2. So you need the Legendary Edition to do that. If you don't have it, then I'm afraid we can't help you out. You can pick it up on Steam sales. It's on sale fairly regularly as Blood Bowl 2. And I don't think it's for too much. But yeah, you need that Legendary Edition to be able to play the game. You also need to join the REBBL Imperium Discord server, which is separate to the main REBBL Discord server. It's its own thing. The link to that will be in the description to this video, and also on the REBBL Discord as well, and on the subreddit post, and probably the news site as well. You'll be able to find links to the Discord in all of those places to make sure you're in the right place. We also have our website, imperium.rebel.net. This has been put together by Thomas T, who I quite simply cannot thank enough for the amount of work he's put in on this thing, both on the website and the Discord bot that we have. It's all incredible. I'm so happy with how it's all turned out. So your card collections can be seen there. Now, by card collections, we just refer to all the cards that you own in the game. You'll be able to see a full list of all of them next to your own coach name on the website. And you can also use the website for tracking lots of other things like your stats, signing up for tournaments, and any little achievements you might get along the way. Is all done through that website. So that is pretty much your hub alongside the Discord server when you're playing this game. The game is played in resurrection format. So that means things can't die, and you don't earn any SPP either. When we started, we toyed with the idea of trying to run SPP and making sure that you could develop players as you went, but ultimately it was way too difficult to track. If you imagine even 10 people playing, if you've got 4 Norse linemen, you have to track each individual Norse lineman all the way through. If we have 100 people playing this, it's just impossible to track. So it's much easier to just make a Norse lineman a Norse lineman. It always does the same thing. And then suddenly the number of cards that we've got in the game is manageable. And it's worked out quite well, actually. I think I find it still, even though it is res format, it's still quite good fun playing the games. For each new tournament, you will have to create a new team in Blood Bowl 2. There's nothing I can do about that. That is just, cyanide restrictions. Once you've played a game with a custom team, you can no longer then edit that custom team freely. So there's nothing we can do. You'll just have to make a new team every time you do a new tournament. And it's a minor pain, but it's not that big a deal, generally speaking. Okay, so we'll move on to cards. So you see a little artwork on the right-hand side there that denotes the 4 rarities of card that we have. Common, rare, epic, and legendary. If you play collectible card games or anything like that, you'll have seen these before. Not reinventing the wheel on any of this stuff. There's 4 rarities of cards. My PowerPoint's useless and isn't quite in the right order. There are over 600 cards in the game, so there is plenty to be finding and opening packs and trying to get a hold of. And they are split into 4 different types. So you've got player cards, which, as you'd expect, are players. Training cards, which are, in a nutshell, skills. Staff cards, which are things like rerolls, apothecaries, cheerleaders, and fan factor and coaching assistants and all that sort of thing. But also a few other little bits and pieces, a few other little toys that you can get a hold of that I'm not going to tell you about now. I want you to sort of get into the game and try and find a few of those goodies for yourself. I think if I give you the full list of all the cards, it kind of spoils half the fun, right? And the 4th type is special play. Now, these are a separate type of card entirely, and you kind of use these to screw with your opponents or benefit yourself. So there's a fair few different special play cards in the game. Some of them are quite weak, some of them are pretty strong. Through a lot of the beta testing we've done, and by the way, a big thank you to everyone who helped out with the beta test. We had to sort of maybe have a few games with some overpowered cards just to test out how things were. So everyone was super patient with that, and I'm really appreciative of all the help to get this thing into what we think is a playable state. But these special play cards, you're going to be able to use these to sort of toy with your opponent's min-maxing strategies. Min-maxing is great, but in REBBL Imperium, we're kind of throwing it out the window. You're going to have to min-max around the fact that your opponent might just injure your best player before the tournament starts. There's various subtypes to those cards. So in player cards, you've got 3 types. You've got a lineman, you've got a positional, and you've got a REBBL legend. So a lineman is exactly what you'd expect. It's any of the 0 to 16 players from any of the 24 races in the game. So human lineman, orc lineman, Skaven lineman, and so on and so forth. Also halflings, nobblers, anything like that. The positional is anything that isn't a lineman. So you might have a human blitzer or an ogre or a witch elf or a Skaven gutter runner. They're all positionals. And then REBBL legends are basically pre-built superstars and some others from the main REBBL league and some of the side leagues too, that you'll be able to open in packs in this game and add them to your team, and that's exciting. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. There's at least 3 and a maximum of 4 for every race, so you'll be able to find legends of all the races in the game, and they could be from REL, Big O, G-Man. There might be guys who played a long time ago. There might be guys who are still around in the league now. There's 76 of them in total for you to find. And it's always exciting when you open one up and find out exactly what monster you've now got to play with. In terms of training cards, you've got basic, core, and specialized. So basic is kind of like your fairly situational or rubbish skills. They're sort of the basic level skills. Core is things like block, dodge, mighty blow, the stuff that you want to take all the time. That is a core skill. And then specialized training cards will often contain more than one skill. And those cards are really quite useful. They'll allow you to build players in very specific ways. So you might end up being able to build a ball sacker, or you might end up being able to build a killer player with sort of claw and mighty blow at the same time. So if you can get a hold of those cards, you sort of get an extra value from the fact you can get 2 or maybe even 3 or more skills for the cost of just 1 card. You get a starter pack when you start the game, and that starter pack contains only lineman cards and basic staff cards, which is rerolls and apothecaries, and that's apothecaries plural for reasons you'll discover in a little while. The linemen, again, you won't get the same number of every lineman. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, because some mixed teams only allow a small number of players. So, for example, the Chaos God selection only allow you Chaos Beastmen and Nurgle Rotters as linemen. So if I only give you 3 of each, you're not going to have enough to make a team. So there has to be enough to at least make a minimum team for every one of the mixed teams. But also what you find is when you're playing with mixed linemen only, you end up with the better linemen becoming like pseudo-positional. So on the Alliance of Goodness team, for example, you might find that a human lineman is still pretty much performing the role of a lineman, but your Dwarf Longbeard, because it's got block and tackle, suddenly starts performing the role of a blitzer because he's much more reliable. So there's various numbers. You don't get as many long beards as you do some of the worst linemen and all that sort of thing. So getting started, what do you need to do? Well, you need to get yourself into the REBBL Imperium Discord. You need to go to the hashtag new coaches channel and you need to type in the command !new coach, and I will show you exactly how to do that now. Bear with me while I just alt tab around the screen to what I need to get to here. As I said, this will be kind of messy in places. So we've got the new coaches channel here, which I've restricted to only my viewing at the moment. We can see I ran this last night. I've had to re-record this video because some bits weren't working that are now working. So you run that !new coach, and there you go. It'll give you a ping. It'll say that my account is created. It gives you 10 coins in the bank, as we can see here. Create your account on the website, and it grants you 10 Imperium gold and a free player pack. It also grants you the starter pack. All the starter packs are identical, so your starter pack won't be any different to anybody else's. You'll get the same number of the same cards in every single starter pack. You cannot lose any of the cards from the starter pack, whether by from anyone else in the game forcing you to lose cards or from you losing cards. You cannot lose any cards from the starter pack. They're permanent in your collection there. And the starter pack is viewable on the website, separate to any cards that you gain through packs. So, on the subject of the website, should we have a look at it? Here we go. I'll refresh this now. Now, we've got my account. We've also got Reese's account because Reese was a little impatient and has made his account before the game has launched. So we'll just wipe that before we start with this. This is the REBBL Imperium website. You can see we have the starter pack here. So you get a quantity of cards here. It tells you the race, the subtype, and how many of each that you get. There's also a card value here, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail later on. And there's a rarity box 2, so the C just stands for common. And you can also see we've got a cheerleader squad, a coaching team, some loyal fans in there, and an apothecary, and some rerolls. So as you can see, you can also filter this for any of the teams in the game. So if I wanted to check my Far East Association cards, I can filter that and it filters it to Chaos Dwarfs, Orcs, Goblins, Skaven and Ogres. So I can just see exactly what I've got to make a team of the Far East Association type, which is great. You can also toggle the starter pack on and off if you just want to see cards that you've earned in packs. And then beyond that, you've got info here. So it'll tell me I've got 10 coins in the bank. I'm entitled to a free player pack at this time. And it'll also tell me any tournaments that I'm signed up to. If your Blood Bowl 2 name is different to your Discord name, that can be shown here, which is useful for admins. And we've also got a full list here of all of the transactions that have ever gone in and out of your account, which is purely for basically my auditing trails if anything goes wrong, and just for the interest of balance. There's a dusting tab, which I'll come on to shortly, but you can dust your cards to try and get better ones. There's also a stats tab, which gives you all your stats, number of wins, number of matches, blocks, casualties in total, all that sort of thing. That'll all be listed here. And finally, there's an achievements tab where you can gain some extra little coins if you, for example, once you've thrown 150 passing yards, you can collect 5 coins. If you serve 10 players, you can pick up 5 coins for that. There's some special ones here. If you manage to suffer 8+ casualties in a game and still win, you can pick up 10 coins for doing that. Win 1 match with every single mixed team, 10 coins. So these will be tracked with little progress bars as you go through, and then you can claim them yourself through the website. There's also achievements for each of the mixed teams as well. So you can get some coins for playing some matches with the Superior Being Ring, and all the way through. Just to give you a little bit of bonus. You can also get bonus packs as well. So when you score 40 touchdowns with Superior Being Ring, you help yourself to a player pack of their type. Happy days. So lots of things to be keeping you busy. We will move on with the PowerPoint from getting started to packs. So this is the important bit. Packs are generated using the Imperium bot's !genpack command. If you put in !genpack on its own, it will tell you exactly what all of the commands beyond that are. There are 5 main types of packs. So you've got the booster pack, the player, the training pack, the special play pack, and the inducement pack. Boosters are bought using Imperium gold. So when you're collecting gold, you then spend that gold to get booster packs. All the booster packs contain 5 cards every time. Won't be any more, won't be any less. It'll always be 5 cards in a booster pack. The basic booster costs, would you believe it, 10 gold. Well, isn't it handy that you get 10 gold when you create your account, eh? So there you go. Basic boosters get you 10 gold, and they are guaranteed at least 1 rare card. The most common way that the pack will generate is with 4 commons and a rare. But the way it works is when you generate a basic booster, for example, there are a number of possible permutations as to the overall value of the pack. So if you imagine that a common card is worth 1, a rare card is worth 2, and so on. There's a set number of possible permutations, I should say. So your pack of 5 might be 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, or 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, and so on, to give you a total pack value. Now, the higher pack value for a basic booster, the maximum you can get is 4 commons and a legendary. So you can get legendaries in your basic boosters, but there's only about, I think it's about a 0.6% chance for any given booster that you'll pull that permutation, if that makes sense. So it's the same for premium boosters. They cost 20 gold, but all of those cards are at least rare. So you don't get any of these commons, which are kind of lame a lot of the time, the common cards. But, you know, some of them are useful, but as you'd expect in these things, common cards are not the strongest ones. So you will have to spend the extra cash to get the premium booster, then we can guarantee you that all of the cards you get will be at least rare or better. Again, you might pull 5 rares, but there's that better chance of getting the legendaries in these packs. Player training and special play packs can't be bought with gold. They are generated through dusting your collection. Tryouts means that you dust 10 player cards for a free player pack. And that grants you 3 player cards, which are all rare or better. And when you get that player pack, you will determine which race that pack is from. So if I want an Alliance of Goodness pack, I will denote that I want a player AOG, Alliance of Goodness pack. And I'll show you that in a moment. Drills is for staff training and special play cards. So you can dust 10 of them for a free training or special play pack. And that's either 3 training cards or 3 special play cards. Now, when I'm talking about dust, I mean, if you're not familiar with that term, it means permanently removed from your collection. So I decide I don't really ever use this card. I want to basically trade this in with a sort of, if you imagine like a global bank, you trade it in with the bank, if you like. And once you've handed over 10 of your cards, you get given a free pack. And then you see what you get from that pack. And obviously, you're guaranteed at least rare cards are better. So it's a chance to trade in 10 fairly useless commons and a couple of useless rares to maybe get yourself some nice things. Cards are assigned to your collection on the website once opened via the bot. So we'll do that now. So I've set up a little test pack shop here. You can see how, again, I ran this last night, but we're going to do it again. So you just do ! gen pack and then booster after that. And there we go. So that's quite a good booster pack. I had 2 commons, 2 rares, and an epic. So I got Kickoff Return and Grudge Match, which is a special play card. The descriptions of the special play cards are all down here. I got a Sidestep Goblin. So that's a Goblin with a pre-built-in Sidestep skill. I got myself a Human Thrower. And I got myself a Bretonian Blocker with the Juggernaut skill built in as well, which is an epic. So what we'll see if we pop over to the website, if I refresh that, you'll now see that these are in my collection. They're highlighted. The epics are highlighted red. The legendaries will be highlighted orange. The rares are highlighted blue. You can also see any of these pre-built skills are listed here. So you can see I've got a Sidestep Goblin, which is better than a regular Goblin because I've got the Sidestep skill. There you go. Tells you the quantity. And again, I can filter that to Alliance of Goodness and see that I can add those Bretonian Blocker and Human Throwers to my AOG team. I've also got the Kickoff Return skill that I can use there. And those special play cards are put into their own section as well. So there we go. That was nice and easy. So because I pulled a couple of good Alliance of Goodness cards there, it might make sense for the free player pack that I get to be an AOG pack. So again, you would go Gen Pack with an ! At the start. You would then say player, and you would say AOG. Oh, and look at that. I got a legend. This game isn't rigged, I swear. So I got myself a Wrestle Human Lineman, kind of boring. I got myself a Sidestep Halfling. also kind of boring. I also picked up Lithium. Now, for anyone who stuck around during the REBBL 9, Season 9 playoffs, Lithium was, of course, the natural one-turner on my Staser team. You can see he's a Wood Elf catcher with block, plus movement, sidestep, plus movement, sure feet, and pro. So we'll see on the site here that he now gets added to my collection. There is my brand new REBBL Legend ready to go straight into my team, and I can use him as often as I like throughout the season. With a couple of restrictions, which I'll get onto in a moment. But you can see his card value is massively higher than the others. So it does cost me a little bit to put him in the team as well. So that was exciting. Look at that, we pulled a legend. Now that we've got our nice players, we should probably enter some tournaments. So there are two types of tournament in REBBL Imperium. There's a development tournament and the Imperium tournament. Now the development tournament is sort of the bread and butter experience. You're going to sort of play there most often, and then the Imperium tournaments are the big things with the big prizes. You're trying to use the development tournament to build up your collection, build up your practice with your team, and then you want to enter your best possible teams into these Imperium tournaments for the big prizes and ultimately the glory, which is what you want. There are 3 tournament lengths when it comes to development tournaments. So a regular tournament is 3 weeks long. You commit to playing 1 match per week. All development tournaments have 4 teams in them, I should mention. So it'll be you and 3 other players. So therefore, a regular tournament would take you 3 weeks. You commit to 1 match a week. Now, we use what we call ASAP scheduling, which means that if the games get done, you don't have to play 1 match per week. You can finish them all quicker. Just play the games. You've got that 3-week time period to play the games against each of your opponents, get them done in that time, and then we'll pay out. You've also got a boot camp, which is 1 week. So again, 4 teams and all 4 coaches commit to getting all of the games done within 1 week. So if it starts on a Thursday, it all has to be done by the next Thursday. The final type is a fast track. That takes place over 1 weekend. So if you see you've got a free weekend coming up, you might want to throw in a cheeky little fast track tournament. Again, 4 teams. So you commit to playing 3 matches over the space of 1 weekend. We'll normally try to get them kicked off on a Friday evening for you, so that you've got that Friday evening and the Saturday and the Sunday to get those 3 games in. They do prove to be quite popular, do fast tracks. Boot camps are by far and away the most popular tournament in the beta. Regulars, obviously, if you're playing regulars all the time, you'll fall a little bit behind those guys who are able to play a bit more regularly. But at the same time, those regular tournaments do have higher payouts because of the fact they take longer to complete. So it's sort of like a little bit of a catch-up mechanism, if you like. The tournaments are region-based or region-biased. So you've got REL, Americas, G-Man, Europe, Big O, Asia, Australasia. If you enter a G-Man tournament, you should expect to play around G-Man hours. Similar for REL, similar for Big O. You can enter any that you like, but just be advised that if you enter one that's not from your region and you start struggling to schedule games, you'll probably end up taking penalties for it. So just be reasonable. If you realise that I want to enter that tournament, but I'm not going to be able to do the REL scheduling, and you're a G-Man coach, just wait for a G-Man tournament or sign up for a G-Man tournament. It's kind of the onus is kind of on you to make sure you can get the games played. You can sign up via the website or using the !sign bot command. Option 1 is simple. Option 2 is also very simple. Let me show you how the tournaments look on the website. So here you go. We can go to the Tournaments tab. At the top, you've got Coaches, Tournaments, and Leaderboard. The Leaderboard will show you the top 10 collectors who've got the highest collection value, who's earned the most gold, who's played the most games, all sorts of interesting things that you might want to see. The Tournaments tab here looks a little bit like this. You can see we've got Example G-Man Development Bootcamp, Example REL Development Bootcamp, and Example Big O Development Bootcamp. And the tournaments will all be listed like this. It'll either be development and then the length, so development regular, development bootcamp, development fast track. The Imperium tournaments will all have names depending on what type of tournament they are. It'll be obvious which ones those are. It'll tell you that it's in open status. There's a status here that'll change to running once the tournament's running. The number of sign-ups you can see, so 0 out of 4. The channel is to do with the Discord channel, so once the tournament starts, you end up with a scheduling room, which has just got a Greek letter of the alphabet. You do all your scheduling in there, so that channel will just tell you which channel it is. I can click on the tournament to open it up and get some more details. So we've got a sign-up deadline that says sign up by June the 21st. June 24th is the expected start date of the tournament. And then the expected end date would be July the 1st. These dates might update depending on if the tournament kicks off early or late. The region would be G-Man, REL or Big O. It shows example G-Man now because of the way I've named it. It tells you whether there's an entrance fee. Imperium tournaments often have entrance fees. The number of sign-ups. There's also reserve spaces for Imperium tournaments as well. It'll tell you which deck phase you're in, which is great. And then you'll also get a full list of all the coaches who are signed up. So if you decide, I don't really fancy playing Haringzord this week, you can just check to see which tournaments I'm signed up for and maybe try to avoid me. Or if you say, I really fancy giving this guy a game, you can sign up for a tournament that they're already in if you like. These can be filtered by region, so I can filter it to G-Man tournaments, and it doesn't work because it's currently example G-Man. But I can reset that, and once these are just showing G-Man, REL, and Big O, you can filter them by region. And you can also sort by full or ones that are still free, or reset that to see all tournaments. If I want to sign up for a tournament, it is really straightforward. As I said, I just hit that sign button. There we go. I have now signed up to the example G-Man Development Bootcamp. Sign-ups are now shown 1 out of 4. My name is here, and we can start putting together the deck. So, anything else on tournaments? You may enter as many tournaments as you like, but please, 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 don't overdo it. Once this kicks off, don't sign up for like 15 boot camps and then realize that you need a schedule with 45 coaches in a week. Right, just don't. Strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you do one sign up at a time, and then once that tournament's underway, you can maybe look at committing to a second tournament if you think you've got the time. Just please don't try and put your fingers in so many pies that you end up just not being able to get game scheduled, because that not only spoils my day, spoils your tournament admin's day, spoils the people you're playing against day, and ultimately spoils your day as well, because you're going to take a whacking great penalty for it. Also, the team management rule exists. So the team management rule states that you may not use the same card in 2 different development tournaments. Any card. So if I was using lithium in one tournament, I cannot use lithium in a second tournament until that first one has finished. Once the tournament's finished and paid out, my cards will be released back to my collection, and then I can use lithium again, or I can use the Juggernaut Bretonian blocker again. That doesn't apply to Imperium tournaments, because in those we want you to have your best possible collection all the time. But for any development tournament, you can't duplicate your cards. And that is kind of the main thing that stops you from entering way too many tournaments at once, because you won't have enough cards to do it. But it also it's sort of like a little squad management thing. So if I've got these players over here trying to win me some money in this thing, my players can't be in 2 places at once. If you've ever played games like XCOM, there's a little bit of squad management to things as well. The Imperium Cup denotes the end of the season and crowns the season champion. So keep an eye out for that being posted up. The winner of the Imperium Cup will be the overall winner of Season 1 of REBBL Imperium. And then we'll start it all again. Collections reset between seasons. So don't get too attached to your cards, because by the time the next season starts, you're probably not going to have them. You may carry 5 cards that were not used in the Imperium Cup over to the next season, which gives you a little bit of when that cup comes around, a little bit of decision to be made about which ones you want to use to try and win the thing, and which ones you might want to save for next time. Coaches that don't end up entering the Imperium Cup will take some different sort of penalty so that they don't get to keep their whole collections. I'll get that finalised a bit further through. Okay, that's the basics on tournaments. So how do you submit your team? So, tournament sign-ups generally close on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's Mondays and Fridays for boot camps or regulars, and Wednesdays for the fast tracks, which are going to be at the weekend. That tournament will change to running status on the website. You saw there that it was in open status. That will now change to running, and that's when your decks may be submitted. So we want the decks to be submitted ASAP, within 24 hours of the tournament kicking off. And when the tournament does kick off, you'll get a ping in your Discord scheduling channel to let you know that it has kicked off. There will be a deck size limit, which was alluded to here, deck limit of 16. So in order to submit your deck, here you go. Click on deck. This is the REBBL Imperium deck builder. So we can do all sorts of things here. So you start off by selecting which type of team you want to play. So I might, okay, I got lots of Alliance of Goodness cards. I'm going to select an Alliance of Goodness team. Your team name goes in here. That's the team name that's shown in Blood Bowl 2 so that the admin knows to ticket the team. So, do I want to add Lithium? Okay, click on him. This is now my deck. So you can see we've got a deck size limit here. The value of the deck, now it's 29 because there's a tiering system much like Clan League. Alliance of Goodness is one of the better mixed teams, so you pay a little bit of a premium to use that team. I can add this player, I can add this player, and I can just start adding things to my deck. I can add the skill, it will go there. Once I've added the skill, I can assign that skill. So I can say, right, I want to have kickoff return on the human thrower. And there you go. You can now see that the human thrower has kickoff return. Thomas has done an utterly incredible job with this. It is marvelous. You can go through, we can add the special player card that we got here. We can then start adding rerolls to make sure that we've got some rerolls. We can add an apothecary as well. We can see them now at 11 out of 16, so I need some more players. Let's add some wood elf linemen, human linemen, and you know what, we'll add a couple of halflings to the team for fun. Now, cannot add card, deck limit reach, so it won't let you go over that deck limit that's set up. It'll also advise you on doubles. I'll come to doubles in a moment. I'll also come to extra cards and the deck log in a moment as well. You can add comments as well to things, which again will become relevant shortly. Let's move on with this. You should also build your team in Blood Bowl 2 at the same time, so it can be ticketed by the tournament admin. Yeah, we just want that process to be as quick and as easy as possible. Team building rules. You must contain between 11 and 16 player cards always. That's because of the rules in Blood Bowl 2. We can't let you kick off a game with 10 players. We can't let you kick off a game with 17 players. So it always must contain between 11 and 16 player cards in the deck. It's the most basic rule. The deck size limit, the deck limit, determines the exact number of cards you need in the deck. If it says a deck size limit of 16, like it did here, you can't enter 15. If I was to take that lineman out, then there'll be a commit button up here to commit the deck. And I can't do that if there's not enough cards in the deck. So you might have to have the exact number in there. The Blood Bowl 2 positional limits apply. So, for example, you can't run 3 War Dancers in your team because Blood Bowl 2 won't let you do it. So, obviously, we have to limit that stuff as well. That's just pretty basic. We can't do what the game won't let us do. There is a maximum of 3 doubles on the team. So, you can see that, again, we're tracking doubles here. Now, the way to think about this is it's to do with the doubles are applied by training cards. So, if I want to do it, let's take my my Juggernaut Bretonian blocker here. Right, so his skill access is general and strength. So if I wanted to apply an agility skill to him, say I had the dodge skill, I could click on a dodge card here in training cards, and I would add that, assign that to that player. In fact, let's show you this. So instead of putting kickoff return on the human thrower, let's put it on the halfling, because that'll be a double. So you can see that we're now showing 1 double. Okay, you've got a maximum of 3, and the tournament admin will be checking for that. Now, it applies to the training card. Some of the better training cards might have the block and dodge skill on the same card, for example. Now, if I was to assign that to a mummy, then both of those skills are doubles. But it would only count as 1 double because you're applying the training card as a double. If I was trying to apply that block and dodge card to this Brett blocker, well, the block isn't a double, but the dodge is. So again, that would count as 1 double because I'm applying at least 1 skill on that card as a double. I hope that makes sense. Just let me know if it doesn't. It'll be in the full rulebook as well. You get a maximum of 3. You can apply these freely. You can also put a maximum of 4 training cards on any one player. So you can skill stack to try and get yourself a nice Mighty Blow, Tackle, Frenzy, War Dancer if you like. But you can have a maximum of 4 training cards on any one player. All the cards are equally sized. So if I had a Black Orc card and I had a Guard card, that would be 2 cards. If I had a Guard Black Orc card, so that is a Black Orc with the Guard skill already printed, that would be 1 card. So the standard Black Orc is 1 card. The Guard card is 1 card. To put them together would be 2. However, the Guard Black Orc is 1 card. So you can see how you get basically the same thing, but for 1 less card. And that lets you build a slightly better team inside the limit. But that Guard Black Orc is the same size of card as the regular Black Orc. It only takes up 1 spot in the deck. Rebel Legends can never gain or lose skills by any means, but they can gain injuries. So I can't, Lithium here, I can't add any skills to him at all. It just can't be done. You can also never lose any skills by any special play cards or anything that might do that. But he can be given an injury. So we know Lithium's a natural 1-turner. It's possible that someone could movement bust him, so he's not a natural 1-turner anymore. So you've got to be careful with that. Make sure you're keeping an eye on what sort of special play cards your opponents might play. And the first special play card you get is free. Then each additional special play card costs a slot. You can see I put Grudge Match in here. If I take that out, I'm still at 16 cards. I can put Grudge Match back in. I can take Grudge Match out. I'm still at 16 cards, but I can't put another Brett Lyman in. So the first special play card you get is free. Any additional special play cards you play after that cost you 1 slot in the deck. We're in super magic mode there, sorry. Make sure to familiarise yourself with the 3 team tiers. We've got tier 1, which is the best teams. They add 10 to your deck value. Tier 2 is standard, they're just 0. And tier 3 are the cheap ones, like the stunty team. They take 10 off. So you get a little bit of cash back, if you like, for playing those teams. Right, tournament sponsors. These are a really nice, interesting feature of the game, I think. Tournaments are often sponsored by famous Rebel institutions. So, could be G-Man, could be REBBL, could be the huge Jackman Memorial Cup. Hell, could even be some of the recap teams, like the Punchman's Report, might be popping along to see how things are faring. Keep your eye on the tournament sponsors because they will all ask you to do different things. They're looking to reward or challenge your coaching for gold prizes. So, if your tournament was sponsored by the huge Jackman Memorial Cup, you might be encouraged to bring along as many big guys as you can to try and get that sponsor bonus. If you were sponsored by, there's some sponsors that reward you for the most serfs or the most touchdowns. So you want to try and maybe bring fast players to score lots of touchdowns, or players with frenzy to try and surf as many players as you can. So what these sponsors do is they kind of stop you from always building the same deck. You kind of can, but that deck won't be useful for every single sponsor. And if you want to maximize the amount of gold you're pulling in, you kind of need to tailor your deck towards which sponsor you get. Each sponsor has an effect describing what is expecting of you, and some may offer perks to help you achieve those goals. So, for example, I know for the sponsor that rewards serfs will give you a frenzy and a juggernaut skill for free, and that's after you submitted your deck. So you will get, you see these extra cards, you'll be able to open this, and if the sponsor card is frenzy, I can say, right, okay, I want to add frenzy to my deck. Add that, and you now see that I get frenzy. It highlights over here in bold and italic so that I know that it is a free card, that it's not actually part of my collection. So I can add frenzy to the deck now. It still doesn't take up a deck slot because it's free, and then I can assign that frenzy to the Brett Blocker, who's already got Juggernaut, and there you go. So then we can see that here. These free cards also shouldn't, I don't know if the website's done this yet, but they shouldn't count as doubles. Put that on the Halfling. It currently does. So I need to speak to Thomas about that. But for now, what we'll do is we'll get the admin to sort of check this over, the tournament admin, to check over, just to make sure you are at the legal number of doubles, because the cards that come from these free things don't actually count towards doubles in a lot of cases. The sponsor perks, as I say, they don't cost card slots in your deck. So they're basically just like a free perk, and everyone will get them. Everyone gets the same thing. Inducements. Now, obviously, I could be referring to in-game inducements, but we also have this neat little thing called deck inducements. Now, this is where these deck values come in. So these deck inducements are added to your team for the duration of the tournament only. They're unavailable in Imperium tournaments. But what we do is, after all 4 teams have submitted their decks, they'll be arranged in order of this deck value, from highest to lowest. And the guys with the lowest deck value will get to pick up a few little extra bits and pieces to try and catch up. The point of it is it's a catch-up mechanism. So, some of the cheapest things, they might let you open a training pack, for example, a little inducement training pack to try and pick up some extra skills to put on your team. You could maybe open up a player pack and try and sneakily get a Rebel Legend onto your team last minute. You can also pick up some pre-built star players. Because Blood Bowl 2 doesn't allow mixed teams to use the star players that you know and love, like Eldril Sidewinder or Nobbler Blackwater or anything like that, we've built our own. And you can spend these deck inducement values. So whatever, if my deck's at value 79 and one of my opponents is at value 50, then they would get 29 to spend because they've got less than... There's not really a unit of measurement for this, if that makes sense. But they would just get 29 inducement points to spend because they're at 50, I'm at 79. And then there's a list of all the inducements you can pick up. So that coach can then look through and say, oh, I'm going to take that, I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to do this. And that brings me up to an equivalent deck value. And that's where the value of all these cards. So if I want to put lithium in, I'm probably going to give up some of these deck inducements to my opponents to sort of help them catch up. It restricts the game from being too based on sort of pack luck, if you like. And those who are able to play all the time just ended up miles ahead. There's some quite fun things in there as well. Some of the new custom star players have kind of wacky skills. Some of them are quite good as well. There is a Mighty Blow Werewolf in there, so some of them can be quite useful equalizers. Actually, they're quite good fun to play with. When you get into game, you can also induce wizards, babes, bribes, apothecaries, Igors, master chefs as normal. So you've got to not only manage your deck value, but you've got to keep an eye on your team value as well. We have had situations during the beta where the team with the highest deck value actually had the lowest team value in the game. So we're then able to pick up a wizard against all the other teams, which was quite interesting. So you've got to be careful about bloating yourself on all these. If you gorge too much on the inducements, you might actually end up benefiting the strongest team. You may not induce any mercenary without a card that specifically allows you to do so. So the point of that is we're trying to collect cards here, so you don't start with a War Dancer. It felt to me kind of lame if you can just induce a mercenary War Dancer all the time. So you need a specific card in your deck to allow you to do that. It's a common one, so they come up fairly regularly. As I said, Blood Bowl 2 star players are unavailable in mixed team mode, which is why we've had to build our own. So here's an overview of the sign-up phase. So as we can see, when they're in open status like this, you can sign up to anyone you want. So I could resign from that if I don't want to play in this tournament anymore. I've obviously closed the deck. The deck saves, so I can go back to that. I can make changes. I could take him out. I can close that, and when I go back into it, I'll still be at 15 out of 16. So you can do whatever you like during this open phase. You can sort of theory craft your deck during that time. Once it's full, it'll change to running status. The tournament sponsor will be revealed, and the tournament admin will be assigned. You'll also get a ping in the Discord. So the sponsor isn't revealed until the tournament starts, and that's to stop you trying targeting the best sponsors for your deck and always going for the same ones. So the idea is that you turn up at the tournament and the sponsor's there waiting for you, but you don't know who it is in advance, which means you can be building a certain type of deck and then a sponsor turns up and you might go, oh, actually, I think I want to change this around a bit because I think I've got a really good deck to be able to target that sponsor. Once that's done, the decks are submitted, so you'll put your deck together on the site here. You'll eventually press the commit button, and that'll ping the tournament admin in Discord. Once all 4 teams have been submitted, the tournament admin will get an extra ping that'll say all the ledgers have now been submitted. We refer to submitting your deck as a ledger quite often. So they should also be built in Blood Bowl 2 for ticketing at this time, so the admin can get those tickets out. You then enter the special play phase. So once the admin's checked over all of the teams and sent the tickets out and whatnot, you'll enter the special play phase. Now the admin will declare the order of the special play cards, and then the coaches will select the targets. So for example, my grudge match card that we had there, if we open up my deck. So that, it's not a very good one, I'll admit, but it lets you, it says 2 teams in this tournament have a score to settle and the fans can't wait. So you choose any 2 teams to gain 3 factor each for the tournament. So in this special play phase, I would now choose which of the 2 teams are going to gain those 3 fan factor. I can also stick that in the comment box at the top. So I might just say, it'll be, you know, me and X or Y will get the fan factor from Grudge Match. And that just lets the admin know exactly what you want to do there, what your plans are for that card. That's maybe if you think you're not going to have time to be online at that point. You then go from the special play phase to the inducement phase, as we just talked about. So the lower deck values can then beef themselves up a bit by purchasing these deck inducements, and then the tournament begins. So there's a rough outline in terms of time. So if the tournament was due to kick off on a Thursday, the sign-ups would close on a Monday. And that's to give us a few days. So, you know, as we see, sign-ups close on the Monday here, change the running status. By the end of the Tuesday, we would expect all the decks to be submitted. If it's not, you can expect a small gold fine, and I'll come on to gold fines in a while, so make sure you're getting that done. You then move to the special play phase. By the end of the Wednesday, that should be done. And then by the Thursday, you guys should be picking your inducements and everything's ticketed and you can start to kick off the games. It's a rough outline of how that's going to work. Obviously, the fast tracks need to work on a little bit of a shorter time frame to get things done. But, you know, they are fast tracks, right? Scheduling. This is the really important bit. Development tournaments use ladder matchmaking. And that means that you can play each of your opponents once in any order you like. So there's you and 3 other guys who've got to get your games in. The problem we found when we used round robins is that if you and the first opponent couldn't meet up or schedule a game until the Tuesday, it backlogged everything. So using ladder matchmaking means you can kind of just put the feelers out to everyone and say, well, you know, I'm free on Friday evening at this time. Are any of you guys free? And we can get a game in. And then, yeah, it does mean you have to spin for 5 minutes to get the game started, but I think it's a small price to pay to get that scheduling exactly how you want it, especially when you're trying to get this all in 1 week. But yeah, we use ladder matchmaking. It does mean that you have to be within 500 TV of your opponent as well. If for any reason you weren't, let the tournament admin know and they can set you up a separate competition to get that game played. Standard REBBL scheduling rules apply. You know, make sure that you're posting in the Discord. We don't have REBBL Reddit scheduling threads for this, but we just want everything to be as visible as possible. Unplayed matches will be adminned as 0-0 draws unless one side has made significantly less effort. So if it's a boot camp, we're expecting you to get these games in a week. You've committed to that. If we get at the end of that week and there's some unplayed games, they'll be put down as 0-0 draws unless the tournament admin can see that, like, you've been pinging your opponent pretty much every day looking for a time to play this game and he's not giving you anything back. If you've kind of both not made any effort, or one of you's maybe pinged him once and not got anything back from there, that's not good enough. That'll just be a 0-0 when it comes to this. If it has to be a significant difference from one side to the other and one guy just not responsive at all, for that to be admin any other way than a 0-0 draw. So that is your warning now. Make sure you keep your tournament admin advised of the scheduled times, just so that they know what's going on. They don't have to chase you up all that much, and they've got that full visibility trail of exactly what you're doing. You've all scheduled Blood Bowl matches before, guys. You know what you're doing. But, you know, we want to just have some ground rules down there just in case. Right, payouts, the fun bit. So, the earliest possible payout is 24 hours before the tournament deadline. So, as you can see in this tournament, if it started today, the deadline would be July the 1st. That would mean the absolute earliest that tournament would expect to pay out would be 30th of June. And that's just to stop, you know, all the games might be finished by June the 26th. But what I don't want is then a bunch of pings saying, can we pay this out? Can we pay this out? Can we pay this out? So that I can get myself into another tournament with all my shiny new things. That was happening a lot in the beta. So we had to basically put the sort of brakes on that, if you like. Stop that happening. So the earliest possible payout is now 24 hours before the tournament deadline. The prize pool for a development tournament is 25, 20, 15, 10. And then the sponsor payouts, which are 20, 15, 10, and 5, they're paid together. So if you've done really well, you've managed to win the tournament and max out your sponsor payout, you'll get yourself a nice 45 gold to spend, which is at least 2 booster premiums and a little bit of change. And of course, you might get some achievements along the way to top up that total as well. You can check your funds using the !list command in the lists requests channel, or you can just pop onto the website. And as you can see in your coach info tab, you can see how much gold you've got in the bank. So I've currently got 0 coins because I spent all of this, and you can see exactly what you spent it on in the little transaction tab here. Remember to check your achievements progress and claim more gold prizes. We won't do that for you. So you've got to keep popping into the achievements here and see if you've done anything. If that button goes green, it means you've done it. You press it, you get a ping in the Discord, you'll be given 5 coins. It's as simple as that. The admins will not go through and do this for you to see if you've got those achievements. You have to be on top of it yourself. But you can also claim it yourself. If you've managed to cause 8+ casualties in one game, hit the button, bang, done. There it is. All of this is tracked through the API, so you won't miss a trick. If you have managed to score 6+ touchdowns in one game, we'll know about it, and you'll be able to hit the button as soon as the game's logged amongst the API information on the site. So it might not be straight away, but it should be fairly soon after. Tiebreakers. Headline, REBBL Imperium does not use tiebreakers. And that's because when you're playing little 3-game tournaments, there's kind of that little bit more variance, if that makes sense. So the elf teams can just rack up one big win and they're going to win all the tiebreakers. The other teams don't have the chance to even that out over a longer season. So we don't use any tiebreakers at all. That means that tied coaches will receive identical prize pool payouts as follows. So if 2 of you tie for any position, you each receive the higher of the 2 possible payouts. So if 2 of you have a 2-0-1 record and tie for first place, then you'll each receive 25 gold. However, if 3 of you have a tied record, so it's possible that one coach could lose every game and the other 3 could sort of beat each other in a triangle, so you've got 3 coaches on 2-0-1, you would each receive the median possible payout. So rather than both of you getting 25, 3 of you would get 20, because the 3 options would be 25, 20 and 15. You would each get the middle, 20. If all 4 coaches have a tied record, for example, if you all draw all your games in some weird act of collusion to try and all tie the highest possible prize, you won't get it, because if all 4 coaches have a tied record, you'll each receive the lowest possible payout. So sure, you can draw every game 0-0 if you want to try and split the pot, but you'll get like 10 coins each. And I don't think anyone will be happy with that. So there you go. That's there to stop people trying, we'll all collate together to all get 25 gold. I don't think it would happen, but it's there just in case. Sponsor prizes split the pot. So if the sponsor was offering most serfs and 2 of you got the most with 8, for example, then you would split. It was 20 for the first prize, 15 for the second prize. You would add that up for 35, cut it in half, round it down. You would get 17 gold each. So prize pools, they are basically tie. You would each get the higher amount or the median amount. Sponsor prizes split the pot. Okay, last little thing, foul play. There he is, Terry Tennant. Monkey Chunks has spelled it wrong, but we'll not give him too much grief for that, because it looks great, doesn't it, the card? REBBL Imperium operates under the same rules as REBBL. That includes the don't be a dick rule. There'll be lots of things that I haven't thought of that you guys might end up coming up with that I just go, you know what? No, that's out of line. I don't like it. Please read the full foul play rules in the rulebook. That rulebook is available via the hashtag check the rules room or channel, if you like, on the Discord. It's quite lengthy, but you can click on the left-hand side. You can click straight to the foul play bit. The rulebook is also not quite finished, which is why this video is here to help you with the basics. Gold fines can be awarded for foul play. So for example, unscheduled games will see you eat a 5 coin penalty from your winnings for not getting games played. More serious things like if one of your players has been injured via a special play card and you don't apply that injury, you'll get a fine for that. So you've got to make sure you're on top of things. Submitting your deck late will have a gold fine. So we punish you in this game by hitting your bank account. If it goes further than that, we'll just season ban you. If you're persistently not getting your decks in on time, or if you're persistently, not following the rules of the game, we'll have to just season ban you. Anything extreme, anything that would see a ban from the full REBBL server would be the same here. So this is just an extension of the REBBL server. Anything that would get you banned from REBBL will get you banned from REBBL Imperium and REBBL as well. Don't do it, right? But, we don't need to go into too much detail on that, hopefully. So there we go. That is kind of an overview of the rules. I appreciate the game won't necessarily be for everyone. A lot of people quite like min-maxing, and REBBL Imperium kind of takes a little bit of that away and introduces some of that chaos that I know the guys on the podcast, for example, kind of roll their eyes at and whatnot. So I know the game won't be for everyone, but it has proved to be a lot of fun when we played through this in the beta. So give it a try. Hope you enjoy it. If you've got any rules questions, just ask. I'll be able to help, or one of the tournament admins will be able to help. Have fun. See what you get out of these packs. Hopefully the game is good fun. And keep your eyes peeled for the Imperium tournaments. And that's it for this little rules overview. And enjoy the game.